On the Night with Todd Giuliano.
Presented by DJ&Lindsey.
All right, we haven't done one of these in a while. Doing a lot of other stuff. But we're back. We're at an incredible location, and sitting with me is none other than not DJ Dellasala, not Lindsey Dellasala, but Noah Dellasala, the heir to the throne, as I like to call him, just to bust his chops. But interesting thing about Noah, we'll get into just all of it in a minute, but interesting thing about Noah, he's finishing out high school, but he also just started at DJ&Lindsey Real Estate. So this is kind of the interesting perspective because he just went through some of the training at 17 that the agents are doing. So we'll get right into that. I have a bunch of other questions, but so far, let the world know, how do you like it?
It's fun. I mean, it's not as bad as I thought. Just kind of go through the training, then just dial, make the calls.
Right, dial and make the calls. So in the mornings, so one of my questions is do you time block your day? I know you have time blocking around when you're at the office, but like, how does your day kind of look overall?
I usually wake up at like 7:45. I'll get in the shower, then I will eat breakfast, go to the office by 9. I'm there, do school from 9 to 11, then 11 to 3. I'll do like chores, stuff like that, just things I need to do throughout the day. Then 3 to 6, I'll hit the phone, make calls.
Hit the phone. So last week was your first week on calls, and you're just dialing, right? These are all outbound calls.
Yep.
People in our system, and your goal for these phone calls is you're not licensed, so you can't sell them a house. So what is your goal?
Goal is just to set the appointment and pass it on to another agent so they can sell the house.
Right, sell the house. So
Yeah.
essentially you're calling either past clients, other people who have raised their hand, kind of in the home space of like, hey, I'm interested in this. You're calling them, reaching out to them, and then setting the appointment, and then just laying it up to an agent in whichever office that property is.
Yep.
How is it structured? Like, are you just reaching out directly to an agent? You're like, oh, I like Lawrence, I'm going to send him this.
No, so I will put in the chat, in the appointment chat for whatever like town it is, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and then someone that's on shift will claim it, and then I'll transfer it to them.
Rock and roll. When you talk to these people on the phone, are they excited? Are they inquisitive? Do you tell them who you are? You're like, hey, I'm the son of DJ.
No, I'll just answer the phone. Hey, it's Noah Dellasala, DJ&Lindsey Real Estate, and then they it depends.
Right.
It really depends. If
They
they're
kinda just
interested,
roll
if they're
on.
interested, they'll talk about what they want. If they're not, then hang up.
Right.
Don't want to talk. Whatever.
Do you find that you've found a kind of lane that you're like, okay, if the person sounds like this, I totally know they're open for more information. But if they're like hot off the get, do you try and convert? You try and turn them?
Sometimes it depends though. Like
Yeah.
sometimes they're really rushy because maybe they're cooking
Right.
dinner at work still, something like that, and call back, but then they never answer when you call back.
Right. Well, that's interesting that you do calls from 3 to 6 because we do kind of often preach that. I mean, I've heard a lot of the mentors and leaders talk about that. It's like, if you're not really hitting your stride in a 9 to 11 prospecting window, maybe do some afternoon prospecting. So talk about what kind of success you've had. I mean, again, we're going back a week, right? You literally onboarded.
Started Monday.
Yeah, started Monday. So, we are quite literally 7 days in. Not including the weekend, we are 6 days. So hit us with how week 1 went.
Week 1, made over 500 calls and set 10 appointments. So there was it's like two a day. I had one day that was a little slow, but
Right, a little slow. That's pretty wild. So 500 phone calls, outbound phone calls, and you've set 10 appointments. So that's just 10 appointments just lofted to agents who normally would have not had that business. You're just like, yeah, cool. That's wild. Do you enjoy it, or are you just kind of like...
No, it's fun. Yeah, it's fairly easy. I mean, just give a list, call the people. Some of the people are from like 2 years ago that I've gotten.
Right.
So it's like they entered the site 2 years ago.
Right. So, and that's honestly, that's crazy you mentioned that because we have data that says the same thing. It's like, people from 0 to 30, that's a certain type of customer. But from there on out, it's actually the longer they've been in our database is the highly likelihood of them being, a return customer, which is a Tom Ferry like staple, right? Tom Ferry's like, reach out to your database, talk to your database. Real estate's a contact sport. How did this come about? You were just kind of like, hey, I want to work, or like?
No, I wanted to work, but then I also wanted to get like ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And kind of get into it before I could even.
So you're just
sell the houses. So I could get everything down, all of it.
Right. So you structure your day so that you get your schoolwork done, which obviously is incredibly important right now. Virtual school, high school, like anybody else, but you're just doing it virtually, which is crazy because that takes like such a severe discipline. You got to think, right? If you don't time block, how easy is it to just let your day run away and before you know it? Yeah. But what else are you doing to kind of better yourself? Are you like reading books or anything?
No, yeah, I'm reading a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay. Somebody recommend that to you? Or you're just
yeah, I got recommended one of my dad's friends, Vikram Deol.
Nice.
He recommended me to that.
Rock and roll. All right. So we're just tapping into that. You stopping with one book? You're probably going to...
I'm going to finish this one, then I'll go on to another one.
Keep going. Yeah. Have you set I'm going to do this, one book a month, or you're just like, hey, when I get around to finishing it? I do
a half a chapter every night.
I dig that. Rock and roll.
On the weekdays, Monday through Friday.
So you're chipping away. Mm-hmm. I love that. What, pay structure right now, a lot of people are going to want to ask it, like, he's coming to the office, how is your pay structure on those appointments?
So when the appointment that I set closes, which some of them are down the road, like some were like 6 months out, but like that's gonna be cool because in 6 months I'm like I probably forgot about it.
Yeah,
then it's like, oh, you just got paid.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
So do you think, have you structured out like I want to make this amount of money, or I'm going to make this amount of money, or you're kind of like, I'm gonna see how this goes first?
I'm probably see how it goes first. And
have you set a goal? Like what's a good goal for you? Or
like how many appointments a week?
Yeah, like what would you say is like, wow, that was a good week? I would say 10 was a pretty good week.
Yeah, for my first week, 10 is, I would say pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. But let's say you called 500 people. Do you know how many people you physically talked to? How many conversations?
There was like 64, I think.
That's crazy. So out of 500 phone calls, 64 conversations. But I think the crazier number is from 64 conversations came 10 appointments. Mm-hmm. That's like, you probably talk to at least 100 people just per week, right? Just generally, like if you just weren't in sales, just living your life, you probably talk to at least 100 people.
Yeah.
Now, 10%, and this is even greater than that, are people that are looking to give you business. That's pretty wild. Have you learned anything from Monday I'm making calls. By Friday, I'm like, way better time. Like I hit from 3 to 4, is like a frenzy, or is it like 5 to 6? Like
it really all just depends.
It really depends.
Yeah, some days I had two appointments in the first hour, then the other 2 hours I have nothing.
Right.
And it's frustrating because like you'll call, and there'll be like 3 in a row, decline. So it's
right.
I can see how it gets frustrating, but
right. So that's it. So that's my question is, does it become frustrating? Do you ever get discouraged, or are you kind of just
not discouraged because I know that like there's gonna be one.
Right.
I'll get one soon. So
right.
Be like, yeah.
Anybody screamed at you yet?
No. I had a few people like stop calling me, and then they'll text me after like, why are you calling me? Why you keep calling me? Stuff like that. But not screamed at or anything like that.
Right.
Not yet.
So you're probably, well, I don't want to say probably, but from my knowledge, you are probably one of the only kids that goes into the office to complete schoolwork. How is the office life in there, office culture?
It's good. I sit at the front, so I get to hear like all the people on the phone, so it's kind of cool to like listen.
Right. Anybody tips? Ride you pretty hard, get on you, just like tease you at all?
No. There's a few people like Lawrence will be in there, and he'll like tell me like what I should do, and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, Lawrence is a good cat.
Yeah, no, yeah, he is.
All right, so you're picking up little tidbits of things here and there. What's the goal here, right? Are you gonna get licensed, or are you just gonna ride it out? You're just like, I'm just making phone calls until I don't need to.
No, I'm definitely gonna get licensed when I'm 18 for sure.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Any studying yet?
Not yet. I'm gonna start soon.
Not yet. See, I need to get licensed because I have so many people that ask me questions that I'm like, I cannot answer that because
you
I'm
wish
not.
you could.
Yeah, because I'm not licensed.
Yeah.
And they're just like people who, like, I know that I can answer, but I'm like, I don't even know how true this is. I'm just.
You don't want to give them false information.
I just help get the customers here.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Wild. So right now we're doing prospecting late in the day. At any point, do you think you'll flip-flop and you'll wind up doing morning calls and do schoolwork at night, or you kind of like love your schedule right now?
My schedule's pretty. I kind of like it right now.
Dig it right
it's
now?
just like enough time for everything, so
Right.
kind of works out.
Do you like that? You like keeping busy, or do you like you want to be like staring at the wall sometimes? You're just like, I wish I could just let my mind go numb.
No, I like
Yeah.
it. I like dialing them. My schedule, it just changed. It was different. Last week it was different. I would do like 2 hours of phone calls instead of the 3. So they just added another hour. So,
Add another hour.
which is
Excited for that?
no, yeah.
That's tight. Yeah, it's pretty funny how your work, almost looking backwards, right? Like this is like the task that like a lot of agents don't like to do is talking on, making calls, talking on the phone, reaching people. They like showing homes, doing those things. You're kind of like finding joy in it because you're just starting there, right? You can't show the homes. You can't look at these houses. The house almost really means nothing to you. It's just the relationship, and what the customer wants. How do you think that's shaping you when it comes to like you learning about even the customer or people that you're talking to, right? Like it's very easy. You don't know anything about them. They don't know anything about you. And somehow you were able to connect with these people. Do you think there's kind of like something to be said about that? Like,
Just like, not really. I mean,
good customer service. Just good customer service. I think that's like a big thing that a lot of people are afraid to understand, that like you can probably catch a lot more flies with honey than with shit. I think the saying's actually vinegar, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the point, is that just simply by just giving good customer service, meeting people where they are, listening to them, understanding them, and then laying that business up to somebody, I mean, there's a huge value add. So you set them up in the appointment chat. Do you kind of like get on the agent's case? You'd be like, yo, like what happened with that appointment I set you?
I have asked a few, and actually I think it was Thursday. I set up one, and then he was on the phone with them for like 15 minutes talking about it. It was like, that was like a really good one, but it's not for 6 months. So,
which is right,
which
still
like I
fine.
said, is like, it's fine because
but
I'll probably end up forgetting about it.
Right, but it's not even that. It's just getting them in the pipeline and getting that agent to understand, like, this is somebody who is interested, in continuing their home search. Like, of course, who doesn't want to pick up the phone and be like, yeah, cool, and then write up a contract, 6 hours later.
Yeah.
But having somebody who is actively in that process, I think, is a huge value add. And catching them at such an early stage, it's not too early where you're like, this person's going to forget about me, but like 6 months is like really not that far away when you think about buying a home.
Yeah, it's not.
When you talk to these people, do you kind of let them speak more than you speak, or how do you approach like your phone calls?
So I'll ask them, I'll talk to them, and introduce myself, tell them who I am, and then if they're interested, I'll ask them like what they're looking for, and then I'll put all that down, all that stuff, and then just keep letting them talk and like really where they want to be, stuff like that. If they want pool, stuff like that.
So you wind up listening more than you wind up talking, which I think is a huge thing that I could probably learn from, but is a huge thing that a lot of agents can probably learn from, is that if you listen, you'll probably wind up getting so much more information from people.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot of people are very uncomfortable with silence. So when there's this silence on the phone, the agent, I feel like, always feels like they need to continue to carry the conversation to get them talking, when you're almost saying they'll probably wind up talking, because if you just let them go and let them describe to you the things they like and whatever, they'll wind up taking a hold of the conversation and feeling probably better about it, and then more excited about that follow-up when agent does call or they do go see the property. Breaking away from your day-to-day stuff, we have some new kind of stuff going on. New billboards going up. Old billboards featured two people that you are familiar with. What do you like? How do you handle that? Like, right? Like seeing them up on a billboard, is that kind of like you roll your eyes at it? You're like, how do those things make you feel?
A lot. I don't really mind it. It's just like people are like, oh, that's your dad, something like
Right,
that.
right.
That's the only thing.
But it's not like do you get like this mortified like up on the billboard?
Not really, no.
Not really.
No.
Do you know it's do you have this feeling of like, all right, well, it's for the greater good either way? Like,
Yeah, because, I mean, the other faces out there.
right.
People
I
know
mean,
'em, more
yeah,
business for
that's
sure.
the point. And we got some new ones coming up, just new branding, 2023. So yeah, we're big things are happening. You might see their faces again. Who knows?
Yep.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, so what are some things you're looking forward to, like right now? I mean, we talked about, going to South Florida. We talked about some other stuff. What are some other things like kind of on your docket for the rest of the year? I know it's January, it's early, but
Just going on trips. I'm excited for going on vacation. I think we're going to France and Italy this year.
rock
It's
and
gonna be
roll.
fun,
Nice. You speak French or Italian?
yeah. I do not. I'm Italian, though.
Okay, Duolingo. We're gonna have to get you on some Duolingo so we can like really spruce
like
that
to
up.
learn it,
But
yeah.
no, traveling is great, especially for language purposes. Like I traveled to Spain, and I was like, my Spanish teacher will tell you I was a terrible student, which I
Yeah.
probably was. But I wound up understanding and being able to speak more Spanish than just sitting in a classroom by just simply being there.
Yeah.
Just, like
Being around it all the time.
and needing things,
Yeah.
right? Like if you need things and you have no clue how to communicate, it's kind of hard to communicate without getting over that.
Yeah.
Which I think leads us back to the phone call scenario. Like a lot of people might not know how to communicate what they want in a house or what's like that intangible thing that they might need, and allowing them to maybe just ramble on the phone, right? And just like go on and on and on and see if they wind up finding what they really like. I mean, that all comes from shopping online too, right? Clicking around, seeing other homes, etc. But I feel like a lot of people step into this like, I don't know what I need yet. I don't know what I need yet. And then they just ramble to someone like you on the phone. You're like, that's right. Like, okay, great. Like, can I set you up with an agent now?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like getting so much more information because they're like almost like thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I guess.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. I mean, you're only, like we said, a week in, and you've already kind of figured out how you're going to operate, right? I mean, like a lot of agents, newly licensed agents especially, or this is brand new to them, come in with like all this like pre-notion of like, okay, like I need to and I get to do and all this stuff. You don't have any of that. You're just like, I'm going to call these people and see if they're interested in meeting with an agent.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's pretty. You just dial the phone
Yeah.
and not like I literally go into one of like the back offices and just so I don't get distracted.
Right.
Distraction can definitely be like a big thing if
For
you're
sure.
talking, but like if you go and just put your mind to just dialing the phone, for sure you'll
so
get a lot
we've
more
es-
business definitely.
We've established that you don't find it difficult.
No.
Do you think there's going to be a new set of difficulties if you were to be licensed and move into showing the house?
Yeah, definitely. Because then
For
you have
sure.
to, because I set up a follow-up call with the agents, and then you have to do the follow-up call, and then search for the house for them. So
Right.
find them what they want, and their price range is like a big thing, because people are like, I don't know, because prices are crazy on the beach, but I do want to be near the beach,
Right.
but like this. But then like their prices really don't match the beach, so then it's like kind of an issue. So
Right.
yeah, it'd definitely be more difficult if I was gonna go show a house.
Right.
For sure.
So far, when it comes to, like you said, Lawrence will, will always kind of like chat you up and be like, hey, like this is what I would do. Is there anybody else in the St. Augustine office that's like super, super helpful, super like supportive, like while you're making phone calls?
Yeah, Jacoby will come up and like say what's up, all this stuff, and like how's it going.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, like I love him.
Anybody? So you lock yourself kind of like in a room so you're not distracted. Does anybody come back and try and like listen to you on the phone or try and coach you?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. I'm sure it'll come when they start seeing all these appointments getting set. And they're gonna be like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
what is he doing back there?
Yeah. Well, a few people have been up like keep setting these, keep
Yeah, right.
keep them rolling.
Yeah,
But,
they're probably stoked on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anybody that's supportive, like outbound from your family or from the office, like friends, things like that? Like, do they know what you're doing?
A lot of my friends like want to do it. Like I know my dad was getting his hair cut the other day, and my friend's mom cuts his hair, and she's like, yeah, no one wants to start getting in the office and hitting the phone. So
Wow,
yeah,
this could be a whole new
I
wave.
think a lot of my friends will end up getting in there.
Yeah, because I feel like too. So that's the one thing, and I think that's something that really helps us as a brokerage really operate and kind of outperform a lot of people is like the friendship and family nature of it. Like, yeah, there could be other problems that arise, but I'm just thinking like, dude, if you and let's just say 5 of your friends are all making the same phone calls, trying to set appointments, no way it's not going to be a competition.
No, yeah, that's why it would kind of be fun if they're in there. It's like, oh, I set like 5 today. And like,
right. Like just
like, yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah. Like just no way that you guys aren't going to be just on each other.
Battling. And
yeah, right. Exactly.
Calls,
but in the best way, right? Like you're like, oh, I need to do this because Nolan, like I want Nolan to suffer. It's like, I just want to beat Nolan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's no, I don't want Nolan not to set any appointments.
Yeah.
I just want, if he sets 6, I want to set 7.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Definitely.
so I think that's what a lot of people might get confused, and they come at us, all the time, like it's this crazy competition, which it is, but it's a competition of like love. It's like
you want everyone to win.
Right. You want everybody to win.
Yeah.
Not everybody can win. So it's like, how does everybody win? They do really well, and I do one better.
Yep.
That's how they win. Now, are you doing any kind of coaching? Are you talking with your dad at all? Are you talking with anybody else? I know we said like Lawrence Jacoby, pretty supportive in the office. Are you doing anything outside of that as like a coaching situation?
Not yet. I'll talk to my dad a little bit on like
a
few things.
Just
but
pick his brain and stuff. Yeah. Because I think that's important, right? Like, I think a lot of people could make an argument that you have significantly more advantages than anybody else when realistically you don't.
Except for just like listening to him on the phone when I was younger, but like
yeah, right.
Other than that,
how much of that do you remember?
No, like not much, but I mean, besides that, I have the same calls as everyone else.
Same
it's not
phone.
Like, it's not like they're giving me some special like guaranteed answer, and then none
right.
of like
I
I
think
talked
if
to
anything,
64 people out of like 550. Like it's
yeah.
Not,
I was gonna say I think if anything,
get,
you're getting not layups.
No, yeah, not. They probably get better. Like I'm getting like older stuff. So
yeah. People that have visited. That have either fallen out, become, a lack of communication, things like that. Essentially just a, hey, are you still interested vibe? Hey, are you still looking at this situation? We don't want anything to fall through the cracks, us to drop the ball. It's funny, we just heard Ryan drop a statistic, and I'm totally going to get the number wrong, but was it in the 60s, Matt? 60s or so? There was a percent number that the consumer didn't think that they would be contacted back by the agent that they talked to on the phone about their first initial inquiry.
And I thought it was a lot higher. I thought it was in like 80s. It was like 87 people don't expect the agent to do what they said they were going to do.
Right. It was something like relatively high that I was like, really? That they just do not think they're going to be contacted back. So what you're doing is already not only greatly needed from both the consumer side and the business side, it just makes sense.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it just makes complete sense. Before I forget, we're actually right now, we're sitting in an incredible location. It's kind of hard to see behind me, but this right here is the ocean. We are sitting at an incredible Airbnb. This location is brought to you by Vidora. Vidora is an incredible vacation rental service that has vacation rental properties all across the greater St. Augustine area. If you want any more information, go to stayvidora.com. Some of their properties are absolutely gorgeous, and they are just constantly adding them every single day. I feel like every time I go to the website, there's like 6 new properties. So go check them out. If you're looking to travel here, we're just on the downswing of holiday season and the Night of Lights. But if you have any more questions, you can hit stayvidora.com, and that's where we're at right now. So we got a pool right next to us. This property specific is called Low. It's incredible. It's in a series of other properties called Albers Chic. They are these cute little Airbnbs. They're incredible. But Noah, dude, we're stoked. I'm stoked that you're finally doing this. We talked about it for a little bit.
We did.
Got to get him on the Toddcast and find out, how it's going, and I couldn't really wait longer than a week. Lindsey's like, he's only been a week. I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
No, yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's kind of better that you did it fresh.
Right. Well, so I originally wanted to kind of highlight you throughout the whole training process to just see the training process, right? Like somebody super objective. You're a high school student, effectively non-licensed. If it's almost like Geico's like so easy a caveman could do it. It's like so easy like a high school student could do it. But yeah, it's a little bit of different sales training because you don't have any of the other licensed stuff that follows. So slightly different. But I mean, so how are you going to top 10 conversations? 500 phone calls, 64 people, 10 conversations. How are you going to top that?
I guess just dial more.
Just dial.
Less bathroom breaks.
Just dial more. Well, dude, this is awesome. I appreciate you coming to do this.
No, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Again, this podcast is sponsored by Fedora, and this podcast is sponsored by Audible. Audible is a great way for you to listen to books instead of read them because, you're dialing the phone too much. You can find our referral link in the description below or tryaudible.com/DJ&Lindsey. There's some sort of promotion or something. But thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.